You know, I love this dude. I think his name is Ryan. Super Mac Brothers. And you know, the irony is I don't think I've ever met the other brother. Like, I remember like something about there being two people on this channel and they're brothers, but I don't think I've ever seen the other dude. I know this dude's name that I see is Ryan, I think. I could be wrong. And I happen to like his content. When he came in the scene, it was right after Noobifier and Board Gamer. And he did news pieces, but the way he covered the news pieces and his opinions, I always gravitated to. I thought this kid's a good kid. So let's see what he has to say. And this is a very interesting topic for me and a lot of other Star Citizens out there. It's base building, space station ownership, land and home ownership, Pyro and Nyx. A lot of information that he's grabbing here. So I'm definitely going to pay attention to this because I am in this portion of the gameplay. And I love this dude. Oh, wow. Great support. That's awesome.
Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Today I will be breaking down all of the information gleaned from talking to certain developers at the Hong Kong Bar Citizen.
All right.
As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much for making these videos possible.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is truly appreciated. Now, also a big thank you to Chimera for collating and posting all of this information. I have linked the original post on Star Citizen base.
It's been a while, James. It's been a while, dude. For real.
But basically, during the Bar Citizen in Hong Kong, as usual, many Cloud Imperium devs show up and are interviewed or just simply asked questions about Star Citizen.
I did.
And here are
Luigi,
some of the
thank you.
answers given
Thank you,
to
Luigi,
the
for
best
sticking up
of
for
the
me.
post
Damon's
of memory.
being an asshole to me.
For Squadron 42, the removal of Squadron 42 from the store is not an indication of anything remotely imminent regarding a Squadron 42 release. So do not expect it to release this year.
I got a potato
but this
computer,
wasn't
bro.
them saying that we won't see anything Squadron related.
I don't have Super
just
Mac Brother
regarding
money.
its release. Now for Alpha 320 and wiping the progress, they did say that they will only wipe if they have fixes for the duplication issues that are plaguing the game. As wiping without removing these duplication bugs is pointless.
That's true, Grizz.
And they are
Thank
wanting
you,
to
bro.
get away from
Thank you.
wiping progress in general, unless
It's
they have a
keeping me
reason
in-
to.
it's
Also,
keeping my
they
kids
say
and I alive.
CIG are aware of most of the duping bugs and are trying to fix them. So great that they are trying to fix them. Of course, if they can eradicate all of them, that would be perfect. But if they do expect to wipe for 320, and if they can't, then don't expect to wipe for the progress. So, kind of leaves us with a bit of a catch-22, but ultimately any bug fixes is good news. Now, moving on to the hull seat and the economy, with the release of the MISC hull seat in Alpha 320, CIG say that this will provide a lot of useful information on how bigger ships will impact server performance. But they do also say that there is a low likelihood of any other big ships coming out this year. However, it was said in passing.
Can I just say, I love the moving parts of the hull. They knocked it out of the park with the hull. Can I get an amen to that? Dude, the hull... I have been waiting a long time to see this, and it is absolutely fascinating. I love the way they did this. They executed perfectly on form and function. I think the hull came out absolutely brilliant. It's everything I could hope for, everything I've seen with it. It looks stunning, absolutely stunning. This is from a guy that thinks every MISC ship looks like a dildo. And let me tell you what, thanks, Doug. Doug's like, I'm tipping for that. That was really funny. Thank you, Doug. I love you, man. Doug's gonna get the MVP for tonight, man. Grizz and Doug, they're going at it. Thank you, Doug. Listen, there's something about this that is really just telling me it's a winner. The way they designed this, bravo to the ship devs, man. Bravo.
Said that they would love to see something like the Pioneer come along. The developer responded with, "You really should come to CitizenCon this year. I think you'd be happy." Now, this of course is very much not likely saying that the Pioneer is coming this year. Possibly it could be involved in the keynote perhaps, or if they're talking about base building maybe. More on that in a second. But it could equally just not be either, so no idea what this means. We'll have to wait until CitizenCon to find out. They say there was also a long and complicated discussion about the economy and the effects of the hull seat on the economy, But the gist of this conversation was that certain ships are considered as haulers, while others as delivery ships. For example, ships that can land are delivery ships, while haulers can carry stuff from station to station or system to system. Now, this has kind of been somewhat hinted about in the past in relation to how cargo missions will evolve, how they will work, and utilize the cargo decks. Basically, haulers like the Hull C and other large hauling ships will be traveling from station to station, and interstellar travel from system to system, moving large consignments of cargo, like ocean liners basically. And once that cargo has been unloaded at these locations, like the cargo decks, missions will then begin to pop up to distribute those goods around the local area using smaller ships, similar to...
Yes, and it's brilliantly planned out. Like, this is an area of design, of game design, that is absolutely brilliantly planned out by Chris and others. Larger ships like these really aren't going to be landing on satellites. They're not going to be landing on planets. Like, a lot of times, they're going to go from station to station to station and purely exist in a space format, and as it should be. You know, as a cruise liner ship, these are going to be passed basically all over the systems, from system to systems. As systems start to populate, these larger ships are going to be spacefaring whales. Not to be confused with space whales that are actually in the game. that's the thing. And I can't wait to see that, because that was fan inspired. The reason why I love Star Citizen is that our input has impact. That our input you are able to see in the game. It's the same feeling I got with EVE Online when they started making certain spots in the galaxy monuments to battles, to people who died in the game. And when CCP with EVE Online started to make these places, I was like, wow, this is so connective fundamentally as a gamer, to connect to the developer making areas that had importance. It's the same thing with ship design and the thought process behind how these ships are basically going to be existing in the Star Citizen verse. Larger ships are pretty much going to be space-bound. And one of the reasons I really backed this from the very beginning was not just the multi-crew gameplay and the PvP. Trust me, that excited the hell out of me. Like an old school sandbox, like I remember in the 90s, where danger was like on the menu. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. You're not gonna eat me.
But it was also in the way they went about their ship designs. It was also that there was an additional layer of thought process being put to how these ships will be used. As an FC, as somebody who actually ran an organization successfully, a corp in EVE Online, and grew it into a very large alliance, one of the things that I would toil over every single night when we had to go to war was how to compose a fleet, how to correctly, tactically speaking, compose a fleet. And I would spend hours. I would spend hours and I would love it. That was my form of gameplay. That's what I like to do. I like to be leadership role, and I like to compose fleets, and then I would put my best FCs on it. I'd be like a coach of a football team, essentially. And then I'd hand it out to my QBs. I'd hand it out to my quarterback, tell him the game plan, and I'd say, this is how you got to do it. This is how it rolls. Thank you, officer. Thank you, Ron. Welcome to the fam, bro. And a lot of my time on EVE Online was composing fleets. One of the reasons why I gravitate to Starjump and the team over there at Starjump. Grim, Starlet, everyone. Ender, all of them over there are great people. The amount of detail they put in their ship designs. Phenomenal. That's why I gravitate to him. And I love his fleet viewer. And my God, that's going to come so handy when it's time for my organization to get serious business, right? When we got to go to war and we got to figure out what ships do what. And the reason that these ships are so, in my opinion, awesome are because each of these ships have a designed role and function, and their flight plans are pretty much mapped out at their birth. So like a ship like this, as a tactician, I know this is going to be in space a lot. And I know this is going to be going from space station to space station. And so I'm going, This particular ship is vulnerable because it's always out in space, and these are the trading routes. So I always know that this particular ship is going to be somewhere already. Thank you, Doug. Doug gets me. I'm talking about the larger hull series, by the way. I know. I'm talking about the larger hull series. Right. I get that. I get that. I know that. I'm just saying, like, these ships and the enormity of these ships, this is why I'm in this. This is why I love Star Citizen.
To distribute those goods around the local area using smaller ships, similar to trucks, lorries, or vans. And this is how the economy and missions will be handled when moving goods around the verse. Now, in relation to ship design, they did say that they will follow an old and new approach for styles from the same manufacturer.
Snap. Killian's in the house. He's doing a drive-by. Thank you.
Just a quick hello, brother. And I'm off to bed.
All right. Next time, come a little bit earlier, man. Chill out with us for a little bit. I appreciate the money, but I'd rather have you, bro. I know. You know what I'm saying? That's the heart. The heart knows what the heart wants, Killian. You see? I got a magic for you. You understand? It's never been about the money. Killian, next time, just come in a little bit earlier and chill out and feel the flavor, right? Just feeling the flavor. I know, Killian. I love you,
For example, the MISC Freelancer is seen as the old style MISC, while the Hull A is the new style MISC, meaning that the Freelancer won't receive the aesthetic upgrade to look like the Hull A or B or whatever. And I do quite like this approach, as it shows that natural evolution in design for various manufacturers. Now, moving on to a discussion about AI crew and AI blades, we will not see these in-game until there is more stability, otherwise it will negate their ability to even do basic tasks, and I am glad to hear this, as NPCs currently do show how iffy the AI can be when the server stability is low. So adding crew or blades will just add to the chaos until they can improve that. And for chat,
and that's going to take a long time to do, okay? Like, this is a technology that has not been ever, I mean, like, to the point where we need the amount of entities sharing the same experiences and the level of server meshing we are going to need really has not, the scope of this has not been done before. It is going to take a long time.
Turn on the TV.
Thank you. Thank you, Grizz. I'm losing weight to this action alert. I'm feeling skinnier already. Whew, damn. This man. Doug, respectable. Bring it down. I love you, Doug, too.
Someday.
What are you doing?
I love you guys.
Dance
I love
off,
all
bro.
of you. Thank you so much. I'm beside myself with just the amazingness. I hope you guys have as much fun as I do, chilling out with all of you. I just have the best times Thursdays. Like, Thursdays are my favorite. Thursday and Friday. Can I get an amen on Thursday and Friday? Yes, thank you, Futz.
Yes, sir. Can I get an amen?
It's the best. It's the best part of my week. I have a lot of obligations in real life, and these 2 days are like my favorite days of the week. So thank you, everybody, for chilling out with me here. I absolutely have a blast with all of you.
At GPT or other AI systems, they say that these won't be used to supplement things in the game due to
King. Glory sing.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. What? I don't think I've ever seen that one. Thank you, Stunner. Thank you.
proprietary reasons. But it was mentioned somewhat recently by a sound engineer that he would love to one day get to the point where when you speak verbally to an NPC using in-game VoIP, they will respond appropriately back to you, which we are sort of seeing tested now in certain games, and this won't be coming to Star Citizen any day soon, but for the future, that is certainly a potential and would be very cool. Now, we have quite a few updates regarding base building, space station ownership, player housing, and land beacons, and starting with base building, the developer says that it will be more akin to Fallout 4's prefab house system, not where you can create a base panel by panel. And also that base building is very important to CIG, because they really want to have players creating bases and whatnot, but it won't be coming out until likely around Nyx, not coming for Pyro. So firstly, in regards to when, I think it is safe to say that none of us were really expecting it anytime soon, but once Pyro is out for 4.0, Nyx will be coming pretty sharpish afterwards, and it wouldn't be taking too long for that to come around. But secondly, I am very happy to hear that they finally gave an idea as to how this system would work. Now, Fallout 4's prefab system means buildings that we place, likely using an AI UI system, will be somewhat full shells of buildings, likely as segments, I would assume, like an entrance, a lobby, habitation, bedrooms, that kind of thing, and then attaching them from one to the next, choosing between various styles of architecture available, and then being able to fully customize the interior with different design styles, furniture, and whatever we want.
Man, we're gonna have a blast.
Now, personally, I would certainly love for more of a panel-by-panel system, as it does offer a lot more variety, but if Fallout 4 is anything to go by, although it is Bethesda, it does often come with a lot of bugs, clipping, and issues. I will be more than happy with a prefab method, and one day hope that they could expand it to more hands-on methods as well. But it is nice to get a little bit more information on how base building will work.
Very cool.
Utilizing this Rastar tool and ships like the Pioneer to help build our own places. And this can be...
And I said that, thank you very much, and I got ridiculed for it, and I said this is the way it was going to work.
Banana fountain.
I got ridiculed by the largest SC content creators out there. I got ridiculed by every large Star Citizen content creator out there for saying this 2 years ago, that this is the way it was going to work. And people said I was full of shit and didn't know what I was talking about. Oh, DG doesn't even play the game. He doesn't know it. He couldn't possibly know. It's not like he's been following it for 10 plus years. Give me another one. Give me another one.
Banana fountain.
No, your screen isn't frozen. I just needed to take a moment and bask in my banana fountain-esque.
Homesteads, it can be houses, bases, refineries, all sorts of different things, but we will certainly need to hear a lot more from CIG.
Apparently I don't, Evil.
Before we speculate too far.
Apparently I don't.
Now, for station ownership or
Everybody
space station
says,
ownership,
oh, DG,
they say that players
plays.
won't be able to own space stations
Play
in-game,
when I can,
but
goddammit.
players or
Haters.
groups can control
Haters.
stations if they have people on them, blocking others from entering. Now, this was stated very early in development.
Tech feels me.
Similar.
Tech knows what's up. Tech knows what's up.
With a common denominator.
Common denominator. You gotta shake off all that salt. You know what I mean? You gotta shake off all that salt.
To the Bengal carrier, that players could fight over economic nodes like space stations, factories, and so forth, but these locations will persist, and players will need to be permanently on board to keep control of them, which could relate in a lot of fighting over them from other orgs. Now, for player housing, on the other hand, referring to pre-built locations by CIG, not built by players, players will absolutely be able to own them, and it is expected that these will be instanced and like owning an apartment. But because of server instancing and meshing, there could be any number of players actually owning, say, flat 23B in a hab tower, but players will be able to own multiple housing units around the verse. Now, this was always likely to be the case, especially when first released. Chris Roberts has said long term he would love for accommodation and locations around landing zones, for example, to one day be as physical as possible, creating a bit of a real estate demand, but instance to start with. So in the future, maybe physical, maybe not, but ultimately they could just take this instance route, as this is the more logical and easy approach. So we will see. Either way, I'm not bothered.
Dude, this is awesome that Ryan got this information at this Hong Kong bar citizen. This shit is like really awesome to hear this.
I would love to have them physicalized, but I completely understand why instancing is needed and likely the future.
This is awesome.
Also, they did say that housing will be a big deal in Star Citizen, having homes all over the verse if we so chose. And then finally, for land beacons, if you don't know, players will be able to place a land beacon on a planet or moon within UE space. Say you've scanned the planet, you found some resources in one place or a nice spot where you want to live, you can place this beacon down, then travel to, say, an admin office, claim that piece of land and pay the UEE for it, which in turn will give you the right to it and protection from the UEE. Now these initially, when they were first sold, which were outside of game with real money, but they will be sold in-game of course, they ranged from 4x4 kilometer plots to 8x8 kilometer plots. But I am almost certain now that there will be other sizes available once they start rolling this out.
Absolutely.
And it was said that land beacons
that
are owned can be sold in-game, or the land that the beacon claimed can be sold, but players are not able to claim land themselves and sell it officially to others, as the only type of land claims recognized comes from governing authorities. And what this means is that if you are not in UEE space, or maybe where a different group has authority over the land, you will still be able to build wherever you like, just not officially or legally or under their protection as such. So you can't just suddenly say, this piece of land on Pyro 3, I will sell this to you, and you pay me money, although I'm sure that will happen. But saying that, there is still a lot more about this system, about all these systems that need to get fleshed out, and we will hear more about it once they start building them. Now, for just more of a general Q&A related stuff, firstly for missions, smaller side missions will be given at some point once there is more stability and server meshing. Eventually, underground facilities could have multiple parts, like firstly destroying air assets before going into the bunker, and then securing stuff underground, with also reinforcements coming. Now, I'm not sure if they're referring to the old underground facilities or the new ones, or both. We will have to see. For the various cities around the verse, for inspiration, for the human cities of the verse, they use in-game lore and current-day cities of Earth, but as alien lore and aesthetics get built out further, we will be seeing some amazing alien architecture, they say. And in regards to Stanton, Pyro, and Nyx and other systems, the Stanton system is seen as old and safe, Pyro is harsh and dangerous, while Nyx is more off-grid homesteader, hence the implication that base building will come once Nyx is out. I wouldn't say Stanton is old, as we've only really settled that within the last 200 years. So anyway, right now they say the focus is on Pyro and Nyx, getting that in-game as soon as possible, but they haven't built too much of any other system yet. So basically, once 4.0 comes out and Pyro, it does sound like Nyx isn't going to be too far behind, but outside of those systems, they are yet to properly get started on them. But the tools, processes, and skills created and learned from Stanton, Pyro, and Nyx will certainly help to speed the rest up. Now, someone asked about Theatres of War, and they said it is being worked on, but only with a small team. There is a group testing different game modes, but Theatres of War is not a priority.
I just keep saying, I say, why bother with Theatres of War? Just buy Elite Dangerous and call it Theatres of War. Just... I'm so sorry. I will miss Elite Dangerous. I will miss you, Elite Dangerous. Listen, they can't all be bangers, man. I'm going to miss Elite Dangerous. Just buy it. Cloud Imperium, listen to me. Just buy it and call it Theatres of War. Give Sean a break. Sean needs some help, man. Just buy Elite Dangerous and call it Theatres of War already.
At this moment, so happy to hear it's still moving along, but it doesn't sound like it's coming anytime soon. I suppose 320 and getting all these Arena Commander updates in first was a priority before anything Theatres of War could come along. For the 600i rework, it is still being considered, but it is not on the tracker as it has taken a backseat to many other things. FPS.
If that was a little highbrow for some people that didn't understand the joke, it was actually an Elite Dangerous joke against Elite Dangerous, not against Star Citizen. Put the pitchforks down. Put the pitchforks and the torches down. It's okay, everyone. It's okay, everyone.
Sliding and additional animations will be a thing, but no ETA given. I think many of these are being worked on for Squadron 42 first, before coming over to the PU. Passenger transport missions will come after the freight transport missions, which we have heard are being worked on. We have heard that big box missions and multi-box missions are in the works. Hoping for 320, but it more likely will be after. Quanta isn't seen as virtual economy gameplay, more NPC focused and adjusting shop prices in game. So hoping to hear more about the quantum simulation and the data-driven economy work at this year's CitizenCon from Tony Z, but the idea being
This. Put a 1 in chat. Put a 1 if you're watching on YouTube. This is everything I want to know about. And some people might bore the shit out of them. But yes, thank you, and thank you. The chat agrees.
Yes, sir. You're not gonna hate me.
I don't care how many of those little kiddos, those SC content creator kiddos, think that they're going to fall asleep to this and think that this is the most boring part, but it isn't. This is the most exciting part. This is the spicy part. This part, the mapped out quanta, what they're trying to do right here, where they're trying to simulate supply and demand accurately on an AI level, is so very important to me because, God damn it, I worry about it. I really worry about it. And I want to make sure that it's simulating actual supply and demand. One thing I know about, when you have a human and human PvP kind of economy, a relationship where people are directly manufacturing items that mean something, where you're buying them because you need them, whether it be ammo, whether it be minerals for building things, whether it be whatever it is. That demand is a real demand. It comes from a human, right? It's a very important aspect to game design when it comes to building an economy in a game. Ever since the very beginning, I was very nervous about this way of going about simulating supply and demand with AI. 9 AI for every 1, or 9 NPC for every 1 is the ratio. Also, who knows if that's going to stick? It's a long debate. I'm not going to talk about it right now. But this is the most important thing to me that I want to hear Tony. Let me get out of the way here. This guy right here, Tony. I want to hear Tony Z talk about it. And I was initially very nervous about this setup, and people told me I was crazy. And I'm still a little bit nervous about it. But listening to Tony Z, 3 years ago when he talked about this now? Is it 3 years, by the way? I'm not quite sure. I think it was about 3 CitizenCons ago when he talked about quantum and what it was supposed to do. When I heard him, I felt reassured, and I was like, wow, man, this is fascinating. Like, I actually think he's going to be able to pull this off. And then nothing. Pretty much nothing. There was a story here and there about the economy, but nothing I could shake a fist at. Nothing with enough meat on it. You know what I mean? So I definitely want this at CitizenCon. I need it. I need Tony Z there. I need to hear an update on where we're at. It's very important. No matter what you're doing in the game, this is the backbone. The economy, no lie. This is the backbone of the game. Economic gameplay, so important in a sandbox. So very important in a sandbox.
Being that NPCs in the background going about doing things will be affecting the prices of things. But yeah, we need to hear an update from Tony on this one.
He's right.
Persistent hangers,
That's
it
an
says, are
understatement.
slated to come out when the next iteration of the cargo system comes into game. And as much as there appears to be quite a lot of work on cargo for 320, the persistent hangers do require freight elevators, which has work going on until December. So I'm not expecting this
Absolutely,
next cargo system iteration to technically be 320, and that could also be when we see these new cargo missions coming in as well. And finally,
yes,
AI
yes,
blades
Goob.
aren't being worked on right now, but NPC crew
How you
stuff
doing,
with
buddy?
wingman
Good to see
commands
you, man.
are being tested, but no idea when these will be implemented. But this we have heard about in the Squadron 42 monthly reports in regards to how we will communicate and issue orders to wingmen in the campaign, which of course will apply to the persistent universe one day, but there seems to be quite a lot of other things in the way right now for that to happen. So there you have it. That was a lot of very cool
I wouldn't leave
information
you guys
gathered from the
hanging.
Hong Kong Bear Citizen. Again, a big thank you to Chimera for collating all of that, as it is much appreciated. Some great insight into many areas of the game that I know myself and many of you are itching for more information on. Hopefully much of what we have read about today will be somewhat
absolutely.
addressed at CitizenCon
I hope
as well.
he keeps up on the
but
info
I think
here.
a
I
lot
love
of what
this.
they spoke about is still pretty
Love this
far off.
inside
So
peek.
we will see.
Very
With that
cool.
said, If you do appreciate my videos, please do.
I appreciate that. I like what Ryan's doing. I believe that's his name. Apologies if it is not. Last I heard, it was his name. I watch his videos occasionally. I think he's got a really good slant on the news. And it's a refreshing break from, BG is a cool dude. But like every once in a while, I like to spice it up with some Super Mac Brothers. I'm going to like that. There's the link down there. If you don't know who he is, I'm sure all of you do. What's he at right now? Look at him go. 55.4 thousand subscribers. Good for you, bro. He deserves that. He deserves that, man. He really does. I remember a long time ago, a much younger DG, and it was just me, a few others. It was STL Youngblood. It was Tactical Advance, and then it was Board Gamer, and then it was Noobifier, and then it was Super Mac Brothers. So he's one of the older guard, and so it's really cool to see him doing very well. I'm very happy to see him doing well.